Hello everyone, my name is Leo, I'm a trailer editor. D23 just happened, so a lot of trailers dropped, including for the movie Mufasa the Lion King. And today we're going to be taking a look and analyzing the trailer for that movie and see why it works, why it's effective. If baby Mufasa isn't voiced by 93-year-old James Earl Jones on helium, I don't want to see it.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king. Remember who you are.
It's time I tell you a story. A story of a cub, not much bigger than you.
So just to be clear, we're not in this story?
There's a lot of stories with all of us. Tell one of those.
Long before they became legends, Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar became brothers.
Hello, what's your name?
Mufasa.
I told you to wait for me. We can't just leave him here.
Rules are rules, Tucker. The king will never accept a stray.
I'm not a stray. I'm just lost.
Okay.
We do not associate with outsiders. Taka is the future king. We must protect the bloodline.
Wait, is Mufasa the bad guy? Scar should have been king.
Mufasa, I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
Sometimes I get a scent. It's barely a trace on the wind. And it smells like home. And then it's gone.
You and Tucker together, that is home. Now both of you go. Find your place in the circle of life.
Oh, cool.
The circle is broken. There will be one Lion King.
Mufasa, run!
I don't know who is who.
We must fight together. If we fight, we die. Just to be clear, I never signed up for this.
I'm here to protect you, my brother.
Mufasa! This was a bad idea! We're alive! I did it! I saved us!
You were saying?
So Scar isn't his real name, they were just being jerks to him. I've laid down the trailer and the timeline here. One of the first things that we can see is the structure in 3 acts. So you have Rafiki telling the characters that we already know from the original film the story of Mufasa and the kid that will be later known as Scar. Then the rest is getting acquainted to the characters, the world that they live in, the conflict that the character Mufasa faces, the internal conflict. And then there's the external conflict, which is this white lion threat. And then at the end, it's a comedic moment and a quick montage before cutting to the title. It is important to establish to the audience that this is connected to the previous film. And one clever thing they do here is they add, playing very subtly, the theme of the original Lion King.
It's time I tell you a story. A story of a cub, not much bigger than you.
So just to be clear, we're not in this story?
There's a lot of stories with all of us. Tell one of those.
So this is setting up expectations. This is a story connected to the one that you already know, but here are the characters that are in it and the ones that are not in it. Had we not gotten this introduction, the audience maybe would taken just a bit too long to understand that this was connected to the Lion King.
Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar became brothers.
Saying the characters became brothers and then making sure that we hear their names. So
Hello, what's your name?
Mufasa.
I told you to wait for me. We can't just leave him here.
Rules are rules, Tucker.
They're not hiding the fact that this movie is a musical. They're maybe just not paying much attention to it, but they do add a little bit of one of the original songs that will play in the movie. You can tell they're not really playing the song as it is because it still needs to fit with the music from the trailer.
I have a secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
You're hearing the music track, which is probably a music just used for the trailer, but they add some of the vocals from one of the songs in the movie. I isolated the vocals and the music from the trailer just so we can tell them apart.
Let's go! I have a secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
And then they showcase that there is a time jump in the story. So you're not following young Mufasa and Taka the entire movie, you're following young adult Mufasa and Taka. It's a way to establish when the story is set up. The only thing that could make this trailer way better is if you just had that documentary narration.
Mufasa and Taka were brothers until they weren't.
The music has this swell and then it cuts to a more quiet moment. You get the second piece of copy, which is from the Academy Award winner Barry Jenkins. This shot is probably just showcasing and flexing the CGI.
It's barely a trace on the wind.
Look at that hair. This little moment suggests that even though Mufasa has found a new home and he's happy with his brother, he still feels that call back to where he came from. It's in a way his own call to adventure. And then you get this voice, this lioness telling Mufasa that him and Taka together are all that he needs, but they still need to, both of them, go on this self-discovery adventure to find out their place in the circle of life. And it's shown beautifully with this shot of them running together towards the sun. This is when the music starts swelling, becoming a bit more epic. You obviously have this shot that is reminiscent of the original iconic shot from The Lion King. And this is a great way to introduce the villain. There's this roar of a white lion that breaks the music. He gives this evil laugh and then he says something that contradicts the previous line of the Circle of Life, saying that it's broken. And this shot of the white lion circling the main lions in a defensive position really showcase how this is the bad guy. It's a very effective way to showcase it, and something really interesting that is done here is how he's the one to completely break the music.
The circle is broken. There will be one Lion King.
Mufasa, run!
Now you're probably listening to me and thinking, but Leo, I clearly hear some music playing in the background. And you would be almost correct. So here's a little bit of insight just to give you more context as to why it's not really that way. Music is not the only element used for the audio of a trailer. There is a whole bunch of sound effects that trailer editors use on the regular. And you can tell that they use a lot of those sound effects here. I can just list you a few just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So you have the hit. It's used to accentuate a moment, really add some tension or energy to a moment. You have the rise. To create this rising tension towards something. You have whooshes. And then you have something called the drone, which is a sound that plays throughout and usually serves as a music bed for the other sound effects. And you also have suckbacks, which is a very short version of the rise sound effect. You can also take the sound of a hit and reverse it to have the similar effect to the suckback. You see an example here of a whoosh and a hit.
But Dad, I saved his life!
Now with that being said, because these sound effects are being used throughout the trailer, when you cut the music, you can still use those same sound effects. But because your ear has been accustomed to them, it'll sound like part of the music, even though it's not. Now that you have this context, you can look at the scene again and listen to it and see how they use audio to introduce the villain. I will show you how it kind of looks like in the editing timeline of a trailer. This is not the original sound effects, but because they're very similar, they are the same type of sound effects, you can see how it looks like, even though that's not the same audio.
Find your place in the circle of life.
The circle is broken. There will be one Lion King.
Mufasa, run!
You can see yet another copy from the trailer saying this Christmas. Copy usually really fits when the music there's either a music transition, an act transition, or just when you feel like the music needs a certain impact in that moment and you had a hit. That's usually the best moments to add the copy. The copy is actually one of the first things that you put in the trailer timeline when you're creating the trailer, because it really helps you to figure out how you're going to pace the trailer and how you're going to structure it. The trailer is also a very aesthetically pleasing experience. So the music sounds epic, the shots are meant to be appreciated. There is some occasional dialogue, and you can use those lines to accentuate the conflict that these characters are facing.
We must fight together. If we fight, we die!
Right there's a bit of difference between the two characters, there's the conflict between the two. Even if subtle, that's enough. And it also presents the stakes of the movie. There are shots in the trailer that showcase tense moments of danger. Because this is a kids movie, you will intercut the action and the tense moments with some light-hearted humor.
Just to be clear, I never signed up for this!
The second act of the trailer ends with this climax and the montage and some epic moments, some taken a bit out of context, but just to add more questions to the audience's mind. And they create this build-up to this one moment. Again, you have that rise sound effect playing with some hits, some drums, to add to the rising tension before the music cuts completely.
Mufasa! This was a bad idea!
I guess Scar really likes throwing his brother off cliffs. Maybe he was, just trying to save Mufasa in the original Lion King movie and accidentally killed him.
Mufasa! This was a bad idea!
It cuts to black. You're left about a second without knowing, what happened. There's a little bit of unresolution there before the trailer goes into this little lighthearted and comedic moment.
We're alive! I did it! I saved us! You were saying?
And then the moment is left here, so you still have a little bit of unresolution. If you answer all the questions, the audience will not feel the need to watch the movie. You want to leave some questions unresolved so that they want to see what happens next. And you don't want to end the trailer on a low note, even though it's a comedic one. You want to end it on a high note. So you play the music again, you add this quick montage of moments from the film, the rise and some hits to accentuate that rise onto the title. Now, what I'm about to say is very important to know how to build that quick montage of a trailer, because it's not just throwing images onto the screen in a fast-paced edit and adding some music. There's a bit more to that. First of all, in terms of images, because this is a quick edit, you need to have in mind that the audience will have little time to see these images. So you use two tricks here. One is you keep everything center framed. So when it cuts from one frame to the other, your eyes don't have to readjust and look for the most important thing. And I'll show you by adding this vignette here. You can see that all the most important elements of the images are center framed. And the second trick they use is movement, because your eyes don't just follow characters, they follow movement. So what they do here, when it cuts here, your eyes are on this character, probably Simba. But in this quick moment, Zazu grabs your attention. And even though he's roughly in the center, he's moving from left to right. So what they do in the next shot is they add a character going from left to right, roughly around the same spot where he was. They are guiding your eye through movement. And the other thing that you need to have in mind while doing this quick montage, the audio needs to create that buildup. You can't just have music play and then the title shows up. So what they do is they add this sound effect of hits throughout this portion, and you can see that they're following a tempo. So every 3 secondary hits, there's the main hit. And throughout these hits playing and the music playing, you have the rise sound effect. And this is all building up towards the music playing the original theme from The Lion King. This was a great trailer. I'm just sad that I can't figure out who cut the trailer. I've been looking everywhere online and I can't find it. So if I do manage to find it, I will say in the video or in the description. And if I don't, well, I appreciate if anyone knows who actually cut the trailer to let me know in the comments. I hope you learned something. I hope this was useful to you. If you want to learn a bit more and see more analysis of these trailers, check out any of the other trailers that I've analyzed so far. And if you've already seen those, stick around and subscribe. I do these videos on a regular basis so that we get to learn a bit more about some of the best trailers coming out. Stay safe and keep watching trailers. Bye.